You know, ever since school started, I have done a series of side quests. Side quests doesn't necessarily mean side projects that I have on mine. Side quest means doing a bunch of randomized things where I don't necessarily mean it is relevant to my schoolwork, but gives me some form of joy where I don't feel too depressed in the society of Dikadolsons, aka school. So having that said, as I reflect back to what I have done in January and also reviewing all the footages, let me just look through what I've done, shall we? I have begun the school semester around mid-January, where there was just me feeling so anxious going to school. I felt that to me, being anxious means I have a form of nauseousness. I remember distinctly being nauseous on the way to school because I was just anxious about meeting people again, and I did not really have a very good experience last semester. Well, it's not bad, but I got traumatized by people. I just got traumatized by the sudden shift in my previous education to university, where it was a big leap that I could not handle. So that's why beginning this new semester, I knew the things to expect, and it felt very anxious, to be honest. And then afterwards, as you can see, my skin started deteriorating as in I felt more insecure on my face, especially with the new bumps that have been appearing. I've tried several skincare involving blue light therapy. If I would say it kind of works, but I don't know to what aspect. It's just I feel that it is a good to do or good to use, but I do not know how effective it is. I've just been embedding it to my weekly routine. I don't think this shit work, right? You know, sometimes in life, the act of doing something feels like I'm not doing nothing. Wait, the act of doing something is the act of doing something. That's not a religious quote. The act of doing something is better than doing nothing. Yes, that is what I was going for. And I also realized blue light therapy causes it's similar to UV rays, so that means you can possibly get tan from it. But then again, blue light also helps reduces inflammation, so it balances each other out in a sense where it's a 50-50. You want to kill the bacteria, but it must come at the risk of being tan. And I've also been adding red light therapy as well. I felt like Iron Man. So I just ended first day of school, and just when I thought school was so fucking bad, I got my first package. No, what am I saying? I got my package on the first day of school, or technically after my first day of school. And I've been breaking out so badly, and I already know that after this week, or maybe even this week, I'll probably go to school without makeup. Just look at the forehead, people. If my iPad can detect the acne on my forehead, you know it's bad. And this was my face situation on last week of school for last semester. So you know, if it starts at this state, it gradually becomes worse. Anyways, let's open my package. So this is giving, I don't know, I love polka dots, especially throughout the end of 2025. I've been wearing more polka dots. This would match well with jeans. I mean, ignore the shorts, but this would look well with jeans. I don't know. I've been recently also into the trend of, wearing this type of mini tops that resemble dresses that just flashed everyone. I've been really enjoying mini dresses that resembles as tops. So it's not really a dress, but it's a dress top. You get what I'm saying? More leathers, but this is giving more of the, I don't know, it's giving kind of cottage girl, but wanting to be modernized. So there's a bit of Tata moment. I do think it's kind of cute. Okay, this is I don't really go for styles like this. This is my first time wearing this type of tops in a very long time. I think the last time I wore this type of tops was probably when I was a child. I've been colored Barbie top if I didn't recall wrongly. If I can find a picture, I'll insert a pic here, a comparison. But I lost that top, unfortunately. I even done some other side quests where I went hiking with my friends. It's part of a hiking trail where the school just brings, you can just sign up and the school just brings a bunch of students to go hiking around Singapore. I met very interesting animals there. I've seen monkeys in the most interesting manner where they're just scratching each other's back. They're so cute. That was us a few thousand years ago. Okay, not exactly, but if we were not in a very civilized society where we were out in the so-called mother nature, we wouldn't know what civilization was, what civilization is, and it's just crazy to think about it. Anyways, have you ever watched Lucy from the one with Scarlett Johansson? I think it's from 2014. Oh my god, I love that movie. It was the most interesting movie I've ever seen. Yeah. And also, speaking of movies, oh my god, I've recently binge watched this new Netflix movie. It's called Finding Her Age. I know people have been comparing it with Spinning Out, but that's not the main thing. The main thing was I found Finding Her Age. I fucking binge watched that shit in less than half a day while I was trying to balance school assignment, but obviously I didn't really balance it out completely. So I've just been binge watching that show. Oh my god, let's just ignore the ending. What the fuck was that ending? I've got a feeling Netflix is just doing this because they're ending it on the cliffhanger. If let's say season 2 were to progress, I've seen a comment that mentioned if there's a season 2 and let's say Brayden and Adriana ended up together, season 2 would just be pretty boring, where it's going to be, the Summer I Turned Pretty season 2 where we see Lola, okay, I forgot what was the character's name, but Lola and Christopher being together in season 2. So that would be the same story if Adriana and Brayden ended up together, but they did not. Oh my god. So let's say if that was a season 2, it's quite interesting to see the shift in Adriana and Brayden's so-called nemesis, I would say. I wouldn't say they're nemesis, but I know they yearn for each other. It's just Adriana doesn't want to admit it because she's choosing a safety net. But is Freddie truly safe for her? There are tropes of young love, of maybe first love. I don't know if that's her first love, but Freddie's essentially a safety net. But I can sense a bit of chemistry because don't get me wrong, we see those side eyes that Freddie gives when Adriana and Brayden are in his line of sight. But oh my god, I can go on and on and on and on about this if I have a podcast, but yeah. I've also been listening to a bunch of podcasts instead of music because music makes me fatigued. And I mean, I've been aware of it sometimes, but I've just been binge listening to a bunch of podcasts, and it's just me drains my phone battery so much. Maybe because I'm using wired earpiece, but I love wired earpiece and stuff like that. Yeah. Ever since I removed braces, because of how fat I cannot curl my hair. I end up clock clipping it, so what's the point of curling it for the past 15 minutes? I don't know. It's fun, I guess. Now we usually add a curling cream, but because my son is so short today, I don't do that anymore. Do I look like George Washington? Probably not. What else? Would I recommend anyone to buy the Dyson? Honestly, I kind of got ripped. I should have just gotten the air wrap because that was the only thing I wanted. And then the salesperson convinced me to buy the entire set because it was on a discount and I got it on a whim. I ended up only using the air wrap and the hair drying foam. The other, what they call it, attachments, I barely used it. Then I got ripped, yes. I'm easily convinced, or I would say I'm easily persuaded or can be scammed. Yeah, easily scammed. That's the right word. So there's this trend of TikTok where people have been putting yogurt with lotus cookies and calling it cheesecake. And this is my correction from yesterday with remaining yogurt that I have consumed over the past month before the fast. So let's do a taste test. Oh, softened. I added custard powder with the yogurt. I get the vision, but the execution is not quite there. But the yogurt is thick from the custard powder, so I give it up. Maybe if I use vanilla custard powder, so I added maybe vanilla extract to taste this. I'll eat this instead.
Please try this on your own, okay? Then I'll come back to you again and let's see whether you're correct. So what you're supposed to do is